Ikigai is a Japanese concept that translates to a reason to live or life purpose. It's a combination of two words, iki, life, gai, which is reason or value. And it's said you'll find your Ikigai at the intersection of four circles: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. Where those intersect is your purpose, your reason for being. I found my Ikigai before I ever knew what it was. So when I stumbled upon it, it was very, very compelling to me, and I've been sharing it ever since. It's said that you can find your own Ikigai by focusing on what brings you joy, fulfillment, and purpose in your own life, and those are the things that you should be focusing on. My interest in dogs technically started when I was 3 years old because we had a family dog, a German Shepherd, named Heidi. I don't remember the dog. From my understanding, it bit people. My father had no control of the dog, and the dog was hit by the milkman, and we had to put the dog to sleep when I was 3. My mother, who had to take care of the dog when my father was away, vetoed ever getting another dog. So we never saw the light of day with a dog throughout our whole childhood. So the next opportunity to own a dog was when I graduated from Trinity College and got a BS in psychology. And that's when we rescued Sultana, a floppy-eared Doberman that was in the neighborhood, Broad Street, right near Trinity, not such a good neighborhood, and we found this dog and took it in. So that's when I went to Skipton Kennel. Steve Carlin was his name, and he had a trainer working for him named Mason Kaiser, and that was really my first exposure to formal dog training. And what I remember learning from Mason was how to strategically use pressure without being mean to help train high-drive dogs or dogs with drive issues. So that's something that lasted, all these years just from that first exposure. It's also, coincidentally, when I originally named the business Kaye-Nine Training School, with K-A-Y-E as the K in Kaye-Nine, and had a vision of making a living in dogs back then, but I wasn't willing to bet on it yet. The second rescue was Holly, which was a German Shepherd, a drive issue dog who was barking incessantly and had a bite history. So we took that dog in and had those dogs for 6-7 years. All the while I was working in financial services. I started off at Fidelity Investments, and I was commuting from downtown Boston to Dorchester. And in the afternoons, I was working with the dogs. I did that up until I started with Van Eck Global as a wholesaler, and that entailed traveling. So it was at that point I had to make the real decision whether I was gonna go dogs full time or whether I wasn't quite ready to bet on that. So I took the wholesaling job, adopted out the 2 rescues that I had, and proceeded to go on my way in that industry. As part of that, I was working with dogs. In fact, the number of years that I spent with Putnam and lived in Chicago, Illinois, that was the next real step in the dog training process. I met Catherine Hedges, who headed up the Furry Friends Foundation. I became her head dog trainer, and they were really big in the rescue area, particularly with pit bulls and high-drive dogs. They worked with animal control and the Animal Task Force of Chicago when they were going into the worst projects. They were fighting dogs and breaking up dog fights. The animal control would go in and seize the dogs, and then we'd have to decide which ones we could take and adopt out that were safe and which ones that weren't safe. And that was my job, was to evaluate the dogs, because if you left it to the rescues, they were gonna try to save every one they could. So we didn't want to save the wrong dog and have the operation be shut down. So early on, we were evaluating drive with high stakes. You made a bad call, someone's going to get bit, and then you get liability and all sorts of problems. So we successfully placed hundreds of dogs through that foundation in the years that I spent in Chicago. The final step in financial services was Jackson National Life, where I headed up the seminar systems unit, learned a lot about public speaking and scripting, good presentations and stories. That came to an end unexpectedly with the big recession we had. I was laid off at the end of 2008, so January 2009, I'm on my own. And I'm in an age group and an income range during a huge recession in an industry that's declining by 30%, you instantly become unemployable. So instead of starting over in a different position in the industry or going into production, so here it was, the opportunity to go into dogs full time and see what we could do with it. From my corporate experience, I knew the fastest way to grow a business was to not only be good at what you do, but then to build that simple, compelling, repeatable brand message that accompanies it. Who are you? What do you do? What makes you different? Why should I do business with you? Why do you do what you do? How do you do what you do? And who do you do it for? I decided to take the passion, the skills that I acquired over 23 years, and apply it to a serious business. And that's when I made the transition into really looking at Kaye-Nine as a viable long-term option for myself and my family.